overwhelmed, then, baby, I just can't thank you enough.
All right, welcome back to The Link, everybody. Tuesday morning here on an absolutely gorgeous day. It's a kind of day that makes you want to think about a lot of things, like workplace issues, perhaps. That's what we do, and that's what we're doing on the show, because the Society for Human Resources Management, if you are of the same mind, congratulations to you. You're a pretty smart person. SHRM, as they're more commonly known, is holding an annual conference. It's the 2021 Inspire HR? We have the very honorable Chief Judge Francis Tadinko Gatewood from the U.S. District Court of Guam, which in partnership with SHRM is putting on this year's conference, and then our friend attorney Mike Pangilinan, who has been in his role, Mike, I would say, with SHRM, a very strong and very accessible voice for not just the last year and a half, but in particular, the growing and evolving nature of workforce issues on the island. So it's really good to have the both of you here, as certainly this year's conference is going to cover a lot of very pertinent information.
Thank you, Jason. Yes, it's been obviously a tumultuous year, or 2 years actually now, and it's kind of now more than ever, people are realizing the importance of HR. Mm-hmm. So SHRM has been serving the HR professionals on Guam and just the business community generally, for 20 plus years. And it's a really important event coming up. It's our really main event of the year for SHRM, and that's the annual conference. And unfortunately, it's the first time we're not able to do a live event. It's always been live every year. This year, last year we had to take the year off because of things were kind of in lockdown during our conference time last year. But this year, we're going to do it virtually, and we're trying to be as safe as possible. That's the safest way to do things, given the situation we're in now. But we're not going to let that stop us from making this an awesome event. And it's something that really, there's a little bit of something for everyone at this event. HR professionals generally, but HR professionals and lawyers really have a lot in common. People come to both HR professionals and lawyers when they have problems in the workplace. And so,
you both have a massive respect for and upholding the principles of compliance.
That's right, and that's why we're so thrilled that Chief Judge Tadinko Gatewood has agreed to co-sponsor, the District Court of Guam has agreed to co-sponsor our event this year. It's the first time we've ever combined forces with the District Court, but it's really kind of really long overdue, because really, like I said, there's so much in common between the legal community and the HR professional community in terms of making sure that people have a safe work environment and are in compliance, and just sort of taking care of people. And it's really a natural partnership. But we're very, very thankful that the District Court has joined us this year.
Well, Chief, I'd like to bring you on that very appropriate point, because I think a lot of people, maybe for the lay people, tend to think of HR as obviously a very critical component of organizational behavior, but they tend to maybe lean towards, that's predominantly a private sector thing. And with your own involvement in this, can you speak a little bit about how HR weighs in, for local government employees, for federal and military, because it serves an equally important purpose in those environments as well.
Yeah, well, thank you, Jason. First of all, I want to echo what Michael Pangilinan said. I think it's long overdue, and it was nice that he asked, it was Michael that asked on behalf of SHRM if we would partner up. And, when we thought about it, I said, yeah, that's a good idea. In fact, we looked up how many cases have been filed that are employee-employer related. And we had, I think, Mike, was it over 56 in the last 15 years that have been filed somehow related with labor relations? I sent Michael a list, and I think my Johannes Edwards will speak a little bit about that during the conference. Does that sound right, Mike?
Yes, that does. Definitely in the high 50s. Mm-hmm.
Right, and so what I was going to say, Jason, is you asked, how do we, what is our role? Well, so the nice thing about our circuit, Guam is part of the Ninth Circuit. So we have an Office of Workplace Relations for the United States Court for the Ninth Circuit, and it officially opened on February 12, 2019, is located in San Francisco. And my Chief Judge Cindy Thomas, and Margaret McEwen, who's been here on Guam teaching ethics for our lawyers, they recommended that we have such a workplace relations office. And the person who's going to be speaking with the SHRM conference, and Mike Pangilinan, I think, and his SHRM officials are excited, will be Johan Edwards, and he is the first director of workplace relations. And it's our effort, we are taking the lead in the nation from the federal court system to resolve workplace issues. And his office is available to assist judges and staff throughout the circuit on employee dispute resolution matters. And so what's important is that what we do in the federal court is also what happens in the local court. And it can even translate over and move over to the private and other public corporations. So that's how we're connected, Jason.
And of course, and again, amplified over the last 19, 20 months, depending on, where your timeline started and the whole chronology of the pandemic is, the workforce and working, it's such an evolving thing these days. And workers have rights, regardless of whatever sector you're in or industry or line of work, but also, employees trying to say, I have certain rights, do they apply at this company? Or, I prefer to stay home. I make the conscious choice not to get vaccinated and everything like that. How do organizations respond to that? What are they within their rights to say or to allow? Mike, I'm sure this is going to be an abundantly covered topic.
Yeah, that's an important topic. And I think that going into this conference, we're well aware that those kinds of COVID-19 related issues are kind of in the fore of people's minds right now. And I think that we've definitely planned a really robust program of content for this program, for this particular conference, with that in mind. So we'll definitely get into those issues. I think that, we've gone through so much over the past, like you said, 19, 20 months, having to try to analyze new laws that have passed and lots of regulations and implement regulations in a way that they've never been implemented before, and trying to adapt our businesses, that I think it's not only do we want to kind of reflect upon some of those issues and talk about those issues at this conference, but also talk about kind of the way forward. Now that life is starting to kind of transition back, what lessons have been learned over the past 20 months that now really can improve businesses and improve sort of the workplace issues and make the workplace even more productive and a healthier and happier place to be. There's been a lot of lessons learned, and I think that that's a really big, important part of the conference. We're calling it Inspire. We spell it with the last two letters of HR to kind of emphasize that we're really talking about the workplace, but we're saying Inspire 2021 because we're talking about kind of moving forward. We don't want to dwell on kind of the difficulties we've had. We have to kind of get through this, but yes, we're definitely going to kind of address those issues. And as Chief Judge Tydinko Gatewood mentioned, we have a great lineup of legal professionals, including Johan Edwards from the Ninth Circuit, that will talk about legal issues. We'll have a presentation by Vince Camacho, who will walk through a workplace dispute, how you take it from the origins of the dispute at the HR manager's office all the way through the court system, through the EEOC process. Vince will walk us through that process to get people familiar with it, because that's something that definitely exists, in whether there's a pandemic condition or not, but all the more important when people's rights are at the forefront of everyone's discussion. We'll have another segment in the legal side where we'll kind of have a behind the scenes look. We have an employment lawyer who's spent 50 years representing employees against companies, and that's Tom Sinclair from San Francisco, and he's going to be talking about a workplace dispute, a COVID-19 hypothetical dispute, and he's going to break it down to show you how a plaintiff's lawyer would handle this, to give employers a view of that. So it's sort of a rare opportunity for employers to get a sense of how would a plaintiff's lawyer handle trying to bring a case against a company. That can sort of help them prepare themselves. But this is really just the legal side. There's plenty of other content. We've got the president of the SHRM Global Organization, Johnny C. Taylor Jr. He's going to be the keynote speaker at the conference. And, you see him frequently on CNN. He's
a heavy hitter.
Yes, yeah, he's been in Guam before. The last time we had an annual conference was 2 years ago, and he was actually here live in person for that. He's going to be presenting, keynoting virtually on that. But we've got a great lineup. We've got Dr. Perkins, Dr. Milton Perkins, who's a workplace expert in workforce training, investigations, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's a really important kind of new, newly emerging policy change that most businesses are adapting to, is to make sure that they implement that, because that's become a productive way to not only make the workplace better, but also make your business more productive.
Yeah, Mike, if I may, I didn't get a chance to ask you the last time you were on the show because, you, Sabrina, and Chris covered so much ground as far as, what the HR community here was prepared for, and then what they were currently dealing with as far as, disputes, questions. The vaccination was just rolling out at that time. So it's a fantastic interview. If you guys want to check out Mike's interview that I'm speaking of right now, go on our YouTube channel. It's on youtube.com/KUAM News. But one thing I didn't get to ask you was, how has Guam's involvement with labor unions been, maybe either dealt with, or how has SHRM considered that, or, is that going to be covered in the conference as well? Because that's kind of like its own thing within the realm of HR, but I would hope maybe a little, is it even relevant, I guess, is the question.
Well, it's not something that is, there hasn't been very much of that in Guam yet. I mean, I know that that's starting to emerge, but there's very few union shops in Guam, and so it's not something that really comes up very often in discussion with SHRM, where we're asked to kind of give guidance on that. But we're certainly prepared to give guidance on that. SHRM is a global organization, and there's SHRM chapters. There's 500 chapters around the country, and so there's so in all different places we've got expertise that we can bring to that issue. And at this conference, it's going to be interactive, so you can ask questions to any of the presenters. And if there's anyone that has any sort of concerns regarding any sort of union issues, they can certainly bring it up to there's going to be a long lineup of experts that can address that.
Outstanding. Okay, Your Honor, I'd like to go back to you for this one, because I see, I'm looking at the agenda and the lineup of speakers right now, and it's absolutely fantastic. Just the spectrum of topics is going to be covered. But one that's later on, maybe just right after lunch, is diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's going to be a topic. And Your Honor, I'd like to bring you into this because I remember back in Pride Month, you actually were one of the organizers, and I believe you were on the panel, if not the moderator of the Pride forum that was held and everything like that. And diversity, and making sure that you have an ethnically diverse, a self-identification diverse and inclusive workforce is such an important thing here in 2021, and that's obviously a very, very big topic.
Yes, and Mike Pangilinan has made sure that that's included in the agenda, and I think I see Vince Camacho's involved in that, and hopefully Johans will weigh in, because we have a very big diversity, inclusion, DEI program at the Ninth Circuit. But yes, you're right. I was a moderator for our LGBTQ plus seminar, and virtual conference, and it was really, really fascinating. I learned a lot. I think that's important. Like, even in the district court, Jason, we have, they make sure that they track, and they try to see, do we hire individuals based on the people that we actually serve? I mean, do we just hire all Chamorros, or all Filipinos, or all Caucasians?
Exactly.
Who are we serving? So we have to turn in a report annually, like what does our employee environment look like? Who are the people working at the District Court of Guam? I think that's important. And then, like you said, the whole issue of inclusion and really understanding, not just the diversity, but understanding, what does LGBTQ plus mean? I got to tell you, I think I told you that, Jason, or Sabrina and Chris, that I learned a lot from just that preparing for the LGBTQ seminar, and that's going to be pivotal. Mike Pangilinan made sure that was front and center as well at this very, very spectacular conference. By the way, if I may, Michael, somebody told me that the president of SHRM, Johnny Taylor, has a connection to Guam. Is that true?
Yeah, that's right, Chief Judge. I can let Johnny speak to that himself probably when he does his interview tomorrow. But yeah, he has a family member who lives in Guam, and so
nice.
And so that it encourages him to sort of stay connected, and it sort of helps to create that sort of connection and bond that we have with them.
Okay,
and of course Of course, that tried and true human resources practice in any Guam organization, you have to have, the one you've got accounts payable, accounts receivable, like in the drawers and everything like that, and then you have to have, the achoti to make the red rice for your potluck party, and and you've got to have, the risketti stored somewhere.
Oh yeah, everybody loves risketti.
Okay, so I guess the very obvious.
Answered your question, Jason. I hope that answered your question.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. So, I guess in closing, we'll just say, how can people register to do this? And Mike, do they have to be SHRM members?
Yeah. So before we close, if you don't mind, I would just want to mention a couple other sort of things that are special about this event. Yeah. So, because we're making it virtual, because it's virtual, it has to be virtual this year. We've sort of wanted to make it seem sort of like a live experience. So we're having it, it's going to be it's not going to be one of these sort of seminars where you're sitting looking only at people's faces on a screen. We're going to have a sort of an interactive environment where we have multiple camera angles. It's going to have sort of a TED Talk kind of feel to it.
Nice.
The way it's going to be presented. We're really kind of pulling out all the stops to make it good. Plenty of firsts for conferences in this event. Not only the partnership with the district court, but we're also going to actually provide lunch. How many virtual conferences provide lunch to their attendees? We're going to have lunch delivered through the Uno Go app. So that's included in the conference fee. And we're also giving away this really nice bag of goodies, kind of a swag bag we call it, which has lots of great items. There's lots of promotional events, promotional items, and sponsorship logo items that are really useful that you'll be able to use even during the conference. So those are some of the amenities. Before we end in terms of the lineup, one other feature we have, which is sort of not on the legal side, is we have Maggie Cook coming out, who's going to be the last speaker of the day, and she's a motivational speaker. You can look her up online. She's famous for having invented Maggie's salsa, and it ended up becoming sold to Campbell's Soup Company in 2015 for $231 million. So she's an entrepreneur, and she's got this really inspirational story and that to tell and to inspire people towards the end of the day.
Fantastic.
The conference is open to anyone. We really want it's open. It's really not just for HR professionals and lawyers, but for any business owners or anyone involved in business. It's going to be hugely helpful. It is $175 for the registration fee for non-members, $150 for SHRM members, and that's the early bird registration, which is available until October 17. So after that, the price goes up $25 if you're going to register late. So we encourage everyone to register as soon as possible at guam.shrm.org. That's the website. You go there and register in advance. That also enables you to make sure that you get your lunch order in and you're going to get your swag bag picked up in advance.
There you go. So, hey, everyone knows this. If you've ever worked in like any sort of organization of any scale, HR knows how to party. And of course, it is literally HR's mission to take care of you and make sure that you can be put in a position to be as productive as you can.
And lastly, Jason, if you don't mind, we have a lot of companies that have really helped us out with this because it's been challenging to kind of pull this off virtually. And so we've really needed the help from the business community. Lots of our HR members are the managers of most of the companies that everyone knows on Guam, the well-known companies. Their HR managers are part of our team. So we want to thank some of our sponsors: ASC Trust, Bank of Guam, IT&E Guam, Camacho Calvo Law Group, Calvo's Insurance, Select Care, Staywell Insurance, Triple J Enterprise, Pacific Human Resource Services, GFS Group, that's the Ruby Tuesdays Kings people, DFS Guam, Docomo Pacific, Title Guarantee, AbsTech, and TriVision Media. And we want to thank everyone that's really kind of combined their efforts to make this event possible. October 22nd, and it's important that you register soon. We have not only the website guam.shrm.org, but also we have a QR code that's circulating out on social media. You scan that code, it takes you straight to the registration page so you can register.
All right. Well,
Okay,
and
can
thank
I
you for
just-
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Your Honor, please.
No, yeah, Michael, can you also just clarify, I wasn't sure if, we clarified this. Even the lawyers have to register through SHRM, right? Because, they're gonna get 5 hours credit. Is that what we finally decided?
Thanks, Chief Judge, for reminding me. Yes, that's very important that lawyers in Guam have a 10 CLE, 10 continuing legal education credit requirement annually. You can get half of that covered by attending this conference. 5 CLEs will be available to lawyers who attend. And yes, lawyers register the same way as anyone else. They can go to the website and register there and take advantage of that.
All right. Thanks so much. A great pleasure to speak to you, Your Honor. Of course, always a pleasure. And Mike, one of the leading voices on HR, and thank you for what you do for sure. It means a lot to me because my father and my sister both worked in HR for a very, very long time. So this is obviously something that's very, very necessary, and HR doing a great job on Guam. So thank you both.
Yeah, Mike, thanks for dropping.
Thank you, Jason. And let me just leave with this real quickly. What's really nice about the district court, and I told this to Mike Pangilinan, is that we actually have a psychologist on call for HR matters. So if we need it, either judges have issues, like for example, disability issues, depression, so forth. Part of our program is to have a psychologist available. And also for our employees get an EDR specialist, and they have a psychologist they can see, and the court pays for at least the first 6 sessions. So just an FYI, like you said, and like Michael knows, HR is important for a healthy work environment, and this is part of our environment. So thank you, Jason, and Michael, thank you for allowing the district court to partner with you all.
Thank you, Chief Judge. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Mike,
Jason.
for also saying swag bag during the interview. Never thought I'd hear you say that.
My first time. Thank you.
There's a lot of firsts happen on this.
Well done, Mike. Batting 1,000 so far.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Mike. See you guys. There you go. It's 9:30. Quick break, and we're coming back with the Division of Environmental Health, Department of Public Health and Social Services next on the link. Good morning.